Hello friends, welcome to part one of this long overdue video series. We are finally going to restore my friend John's McDonald Electric 250. Whew, it's been quite a wait. So what I'm planning for this is like a set of 3 videos. So part 1, part 2, part 3. Part 1, this part, obviously, is we're going to take the machine apart and have a look inside. Basically see what it consists of, really, and what we're faced with as well. Part 2, we will delve a bit deeper, probably take the motor apart, see what we can do about this ratchet assembly. And then I'm kind of thinking that part 3, we'll put it back together again and give it a run, or give it a run as best we can, because as we already know from these machines, the bags do not seal at all. There's no seal on these bags, the paper bags inside, and you just get a huge amount of dust. We didn't see it on video, but recently Ryan came to visit me, and we gave my McDonald 250 a run in the lounge, and afterwards you could just feel the dust everywhere. It was like all in your eyes, in your nose, in your throat, and he didn't use it for very long. They just blow dust everywhere. They're just utterly useless. I need to try and think of some better method of using them, I guess. Anyway, but that's not for now. For now, we need to start to take this machine apart. So I suggest the first thing we do is take the bag off, which is very simple on these. We just turn this little dial on the top and clip it at the bottom, and then our cloth bag is removed. I think we'll give this a wash as well. In one of the videos, I'll wash this bag, so you can see how I do it, really. I kind of use the same method over and over to wash cloth bags, because basically what I found works really well. Now we're just faced with like a stick here, really. So I guess what we should do next is I think we'll try and take the handle apart. That'd be easier if we do it like that. Let's get this flex off. So that comes off relatively easily, and we've got a couple of screws. They're flathead screws, interestingly. We've got one here. Ooh, it's quite stiff, actually. And we've got a nut on this side, so hopefully we can take this out. And it should, he says, famous last words, come off relatively easily. Let's pull this screw out. So we've got one long screw there, and hopefully, oh yeah, there we go. So the top handle section will come off, like so. So we have our top section there. So, oh God, there's a lot of dirt in there. Let's put that over there. Keep those screws safe. Let's undo the bottom one as well. And this one, the nut's coming out. The nut didn't come out on the other one. So we need to push this through. There you go. And now we should be able to withdraw that screw. Those pliers. Yeah, there we go. So that's that screw out. And again, we should be able to. He says this looks even worse, actually. Be so careful with this, because obviously it's not my cleaner, but it would be a million times easier to work on this cleaner without the handle in the way. Let's all right, this might be a struggle. Oh, now it's coming. Oh, it's really tight. Come on. Ugh. Right, I'm going to have to remove this off camera, so I will see you in a sec when I've got this handle off. Both sections of the handle are removed now, so we have basically just got our little, well, it's kind of essentially like a power head, isn't it, really? I think that's what they came from. So now if we flip over to underneath, we should have now 4 screws that we need to undo. So I'll just put those out. Oops. That's those 4 screws out, one that's fallen into the machine. And now we should be able to remove the bottom plate and we'll be into the machine. Slightly tricky because we've got the ratchet mechanism, and there we go, look, that's the inside of our McDonald Electric. As you can see, it's extremely simple and also very Oreck-esque. I just want to save these screws so I can put them over there. And that's the base. Incredibly simple. Now I've just noticed a little problem here. You can see here, this little peg has broken, and that's the ratchet peg, so we may not be able to do anything with this, which is a real shame. But that should be solidly in place, and it's just basically wiggling about. And can we take this off easily? Probably not. See, it's pushed through. It's on that bar. Maybe you can see that bar there. So that bar has been pushed through from this side, and that is essentially what keeps the ratchet mechanism in place. Now I really don't want to take that out because it would be an absolute nightmare to put that back in. So I think we're going to leave that, and we'll leave it as is. Got a nice load of dirt here which we'll pop in the bin. This will all need to be cleaned, and we will of course do that. There we go, you can see this, the ratings plate now. There you go. Made in West Germany. Does the serial number give us any clues? Not really. No clues from that. Thanks, McDonald. Much appreciated. So now we are faced with our internals of the machine. And I think what we should do is, if you come down a bit closer, we'll have a really good look at this. Obviously we have our brush roll here. Oh, a very slack belt. That belt is unbelievably slack. So I think what we'll do is we'll take the brush roll out first, and it should just pop out. Oh, there we go. So that's our brush roll. This is all obviously going to have to be cleaned up. The brush roll's not in too bad condition. It is starting to wear. So we have quite serious wear at this point. Probably the bristles have got weak and they are falling out. That one's not too bad. Some missing from here. But overall, considering the age of the machine, it's not too bad. I guess it has just normal sleeve bearings on it. No posh ball races or anything like that. Same on this end, as you can see. Oh, goodness me, look. There's a whole pile of dirt and nastiness there. So we definitely need to do some work on the brush roll, which we always thought we would. And now we are faced with the guts of the machine, I suppose you could say. Let's get that belt out of the way. We'll put a new belt on it for John. Now it looks to me like this is only actually held in by 2 screws. We've got 1 screw down here and 1 screw, which I assume is under the terminal block here. So let me grab a screwdriver. Where is the screwdriver? That one will do us. There's the screw. And there's a washer there as well, which we need to get. Oh, non-metallic washer. Okay, that'll have to wait until we pull it out. And we understand do this one, the terminal block. I'm just going to turn that round so you can see it a bit better. So this kind of goes through the terminal block and I think into the hood. That's my theory. That should now come off. Yep, there's that washer, which is a non-metallic washer, interestingly. And now, all things being even, oh look, we can take this off as well. I'm not sure that should come off actually. No, this was stuck down. Just a little bit of double-sided sticky tape there, and that's what was used to stick that in place. This little edge rider, I suppose. So that will need to be restuck and obviously cleaned as well because it's filthy. And now let's pull this out. There we go. That's the other non-metallic washer. Put that over there. And we have our ducting. Very, very simple. Oh, that's interesting. Look, there's a whole pile of dirt that's just built up on that angle there. It's a very severe angle. I mean, that's just a right angle, isn't it? It's yeah, it's quite something. That's going to block up quite easily if you were to, well, if you were foolish enough to pick up a large piece of debris with your comedy suction sweeper. That could get stuck there. Again, very dirty. But, you know, it's not young anymore. It's an old machine, so to be expected. There's the screw that came from the base. And now we should, he says, be able to... Do you know what? I'm just going to give this a quick vac out a second. There we are. That just makes it a little bit cleaner. Now we've got a suppressor here, which is unfortunate because that needs to go. We need to get rid of that suppressor because that's going to go pop. Almost guaranteed to go pop. So what we need to do is we're going to remove all of this wiring. I think if we remove the wiring back to this point, we'll know which is which. So that's obviously the neutral, and that's obviously the live. Like so. Let's put those screws back in, and now we should be able to remove all of this at once. I think we need to just get rid of the screw that's under that earth, and it's not an earth per se, it's just an earth for the suppressor. Let's get that screw out. So you want to keep that safe. So that's the motor disconnected. But yeah, we will redo this loom. That earth for the suppressor runs to the field cord of the motor, so we can remove that, and then we should be left with just two wires for the motor, which are those, and then we can get rid of all of this, nasty suppressor, and then redo the loom, so we have no risk of anything going pop anymore, which would be lovely. So I think now what we'll do is we'll just remove the motor unit. Oh, there is a screw there. I do beg your pardon. I don't know if you can see that. Yes, there is a screw. There's one screw there at the back. So let's grab this screwdriver. Let's get rid of this screw. I can feel the plastic is incredibly weak. Do I need to remove that completely, or can I? No, I've got to remove it completely. Of course I do. Let's get rid of that. That's a very long screw. Look at that. That is a long one. Now, can we? Yes, there we go. We can take the motor out. So let's put that over there for a second. And we'll just have a last look at the hood. Very, very simple, as I keep saying to you. Got a Electrolux style switch here. It's a very crude kind of cord clamp mechanism. And that's it, really. This is very cheap plastic. So we need to get that out of the way because we want to have a look at the motor, don't we? Let's check this bad boy out. This is where the fun starts. My goodness. So we've got this end holder there. Let's get rid of that. And then oh, that's important. We've got a seal which goes around there. So we'll keep that seal. We'll put that with the, because what that's doing is that's basically a mount, so it'll fit inside there. This is going to be tricky to get back on. So that fits in like that. So this is kind of a very crude way of doing a rubber mount to try and keep the vibrations of the motor down. Now that's fascinating as well. Look, there's a huge counterweight on there. Look at that. Look at that massive counterweight. So that's spinning with the motor. So that's adding weight. And what's happened here is you see these holes that actually aren't holes. I just dig out the crud from within them, like so. As you can see, they aren't holes. They're just they're drilled indentations in this end unit here, and they are actually numbered. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what this is doing is this is a balancing weight. This is a counterweight to the fan. Obviously, we will see the fan shortly. So this is to balance the motor, and I don't know how they would have done this. I doubt very much they would have done it on some kind of computerized jig or something. They would they may well have done this by hand. So something would have told them that they needed to drill these 3 holes for this particular unit these 3 holes would have had to have been drilled in order to balance the motor so it ran smoothly. That's really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen this before on any other machine. So that entire counterweight is rotating there with the belt coming down like that. That's actually fascinating. So yeah, I've learned something today. Never seen that before in my life. And now we need to try and get into this, don't we? I think we should probably try and remove this wiring so it'll be a bit easier to work on. Now, I need a better screwdriver. It's a tiny screwdriver, that's going to be much easier to use on this terminal block. So let's undo these wires. So that's our motor wires there, and now this the little earth, which it might be a static line, I don't know, could be. But we need to lose this now. Oh, can I get that out of there? Not easily. It's clipped in, there we go, a little tiny clip. It's just come off. So if we undo this nut here on the top, and it's these bars that are keeping the motor together. It's going to have to do like this. Come on. Tricky to do. Tricky to do. There we are. That's him off. So we can get rid of that and pull that through. That back. Oh, can I get that through? Actually, no, I don't know. No, I have to cut that off. So you're going to have to go. Goodbye. Pull that through, and then we can say goodbye to Mr. Suppressor. We will keep this terminal block, obviously. Keep that. Put that on our pile. Put this in the bin. Bin. This is where we put all suppressors, as you well know on this channel. Now, yeah, this is interesting because this motor is held together by these bars. Look, you can see these bars that run down. So they're kind of clamping it together. But what comes apart? That's the question. That's interesting, isn't it? I wonder if I think they're probably holding something on the front on. Can you undo these? Don't know. Interesting. Because it doesn't look like there's anything holding these on, look. If you see what I mean, there's no moulding here. There's no end frame. So what I'm going to do is, for the time being, I'm going to put this back on. There we go, let's put that back on. Just keep it safe, like so. And what I want to do is end this video at the point that we're into the motor. Now, oh dear, look, okay. This is the seal for the other end. Oh, that's not good, is it? That's very, very nasty. I think this has probably reached end of life, and I'd have more trouble putting that back on than I think it might be worth, unless, because it goes here, you see. It goes here. I might try and glue this in place on this piece, because if I can glue that in place like that, it'd be much easier to slide that in to there than the other way around, to put this piece onto that. So we'll just leave that over there for now. I will have a ponder about that. Well, we're almost at the fan, guys. So let's whip off these screws here. No, let's not use that screwdriver. Let's use a different screwdriver. That's our fan casing screws removed. Now I think, yeah, it is. Okay, so this has to go back on in a specific way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a scratch mark. So I'm going to scratch the motor here, like so, and I'm going to scratch the fan casing here, like so. So we'll be able to see those scratch marks, and those scratch marks will need to line up when we put the machine back together, when we put this fan casing back on, because otherwise I could be faffing about like a fool. So let's leave those in there. Now that fan casing is all right. Bit dirty. Ooh. Oh, I say it's all right. No, it's not all right. Look, we've got a bullet hole here. Let's get rid of those screws. I know which. I know where they go. So something at some point has come into the fan casing. Something very hard, and it's been smacked, and it's hit it here, and it's made a puncture hole in the fan casing, and I can actually see through it. I don't know if you guys would be able to. I don't know if the camera will focus on that. No, probably not. But you can actually see through it. You can see light through it. So we're going to have to melt this closed, which is fine. That's not a problem. We could do that. So that's our fan casing. Very small. Very, very small. And then here we have the end of the motor. And again, look, that's interesting. Look, there's balance holes. Just get these out. So we've got 2 balance holes on number 4, a very shallow one on number 3, and another shallow one on number 2. It just kind of makes me think that this would have been done via some kind of computer, because to get that accurate is very impressive. But then again, the mouldings would have been a bit crap if you had to balance the fan. It's just kind of a bit, I don't know. Funny one. Let's get this fan off. That's the next stage. Put some penetrating fluid on it, like so. We should be able to do this with just the pliers. I don't think this will be too hard. Now, which way am I going? Kind of hard to work out which way I'm going. Look at those veins. The veins are really odd. Very sparsely spaced as well. Very short, dumpy veins. There's not much airflow there. Well, it must be turning this way. It must be. But they're kind of, I don't know if you can see it, but they're ever so slightly curved. Ever so slightly. On the moulding of the veins. It's bizarre. It is really strange. So I think we should be turning this way. Yes, we are. There we go. Let's get this little nut off. There's to be an awful lot of spacers there. And then we'll just pull off Mr. Fan. Yeah. Oh, is it 1 spacer, 2 spacer? 1 spacer, 2 spacer, 3 spacer, 4. There we go. So it's our dinky little fan. It's so tiny. Look. Just hold it in my hand. But I tell you what though, guys, it's unbelievably heavy. For what it is, there's some real weight in that. I guess it's aluminium or aluminum for our American friends, but it's really thick. Look at this base. That base is really thick. The moulding is really thick on that. A fascinating little thing. And then we are left with this. Okay, the Miele again. Just a bit of a suck off. Right, so what have we got here? How the hell do we get into this? Oh, I see, it's there, look. Oh, I'm such a fool. It's at this point. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see this point here? That's where the motor splits. Just around there. So again, I'm just going to give it a little scratch mark. I'm going to go too mental. Just give it a little scratch so we know which way around it goes. So now I'm going to whip off these nasty little nuts. So give me a second and I'll do that. And there's the last one. So now we can withdraw this final bolt. So, and we should now. Now what's going to happen? Where's the carbon brushes? We should probably look at the carbon brushes first, shouldn't we? Because I can guess what's going to happen. So the carbons are going to be under these covers. Pop that out. Now how does that come off? Don't know. How's that even in? This is interesting, because we've kind of got like this little cover here. Is that glued, I wonder? Oh, okay, I don't know what's going on there. All right, I'm going to keep that in for now. You're going to have to bear with me on this, guys. It's the first one I've done, so I don't really know what I'm doing. Sort of doing this by trial and error. Let's try and pull this apart. Yep, that's the armature coming. Oh, okay. There we go. So it's actually this end frame that comes off. Oh, we've got something falling down. Oh, there's a bearing cover. Ah, now we do have a ball race. That's interesting. I was wondering, actually, if it was a ball race or if it was going to be a sleeve bearing, but it's a ball race, which is pretty cool. Now that makes you wonder, what's the other bearing? It's so tiny. When you look at it like this, that's quite an interesting way of doing it, isn't it? Because it's kind of got like this little frame. But how the hell do you take it apart? Right, so that obviously comes off like that. Perhaps we need to... Yeah, we're going to need to undo this. This might be slightly trickier because I don't know if you can see there, but it kind of looks like it's got a something to hold it in place, like a thread lock on it. Let's see. Oh God! Again, which way are we going? Which way are we turning? It's like a mystery, this machine. So we're going that way. So we want to turn. We want to turn to the left. Okay. Oh, that wasn't too bad in the end. It came off relatively easily. So let's get this pulley off. Put that over there. And we have a spacer / washer. Now, how does this come off? Ooh. Oh, goodness me. Okay. This is interesting. Now, is that friction fit to it, or will this just pop off? That's the question. I guess we need to have a couple of... Ooh, got to be really careful here. This is a bit dodgy. Will it come off like this? No. Oh, yes it will. Yes it will. Hopefully you can see that. Yep, but it's not heat shrink or heat fitted to it. It's just pushed on, so that will come off like that. And then we can get this counterweight off. There we go. So now, depending on how the hell we get this apart. How do you get this apart, guys? God, this is interesting, isn't it? Look. How do you get that? Maybe now we undo the... Oh yeah, perhaps that's it. Let's undo the carbon brushes now. See, this is very overcomplicated for what this actually is. Right, there we go. That's that cover. There's so many parts to it. That's what I've just realised. There's so many little bits and pieces to this machine. Ah, now that seems to be loose now. So let's undo this one. We can remove this cover. And then we can remove this brush. Now, can we remove that plastic end frame? Yes, the end frame's loose now, look. So I think if we tap this with the rubber mallet, God, I've got to be so careful. Let's tap this. Whoa, smash. There we go, and we're apart. Right, there we have it. So that's the entirety. Oh God, right, we've got a couple of bearing covers there. We've got a compression shim. There's the field coil. We can take that out. There we go. Good. Now, what are those screws? Look. That's interesting. Look, guys, look, there's screws here. Oh, no, there's springs. Oh, wow. So it's actually sprung loaded on there. Look at that. That end is sprung loaded onto the field. Oh, wow, it's really dirty. There's an awful lot of dirt and crap in here. So there we go. That's the entirety of the motor taken apart. So really, this is where I want to stop this particular video. You can have a look down the end frame there. Because in the next video, what I want to do is look at the armature on it. So what they've done here is they've made it such that they've put this like frame on, then they've friction fitted the cooling fan, then they friction fitted the bearing. So this is all like done beforehand. That's really interesting, isn't it? And the brush holders are in there. Oh God, hang on. There we are. Yeah, the brush holders are in there. Sorry, I'm not holding this particularly well because this is the first time I've seen one of these. in all my years. So it's really interesting for me to see what this is like inside. It's very different from an Oreck motor, actually. Oreck motors are not this complex. They are much more simple affairs, even the earlier ones. But interestingly, the early Orecks, wait, don't fall over. The early Orecks, they had a sleeve bearing as the top bearing, which is cheaper to make, cheaper to buy as well, and a ball race for the motor pulley. Sorry, for the belt pulley. But the McDonald has a ball race, so that is actually better than what the earlier Orecks were. Now, obviously, I'm talking about the 1993 Orecks, because I've got a 9300 XL that has a sleeve bearing as the top bearing. But anyway, I need to stop waffling now, because that's where I'm going to stop, and I'm going to pile up all these little bits. We've got so many bits. Look at all the bits to it. There's just so many parts to this cleaner. It's a bit silly. I mean, the majority is just the motor. Yeah, interesting. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I certainly did. Our first look inside the McDonald Electric 250 with its really funny motor. Really odd way of doing things. So, next video plan is we will clean all this up, lubricate all the bearings, basically clean everything, put the motor back together, and then in the final video we'll reassemble all of the machine and then give it a very brief run. And then, of course, we need to take it back to John, because I think John's missing it. Special child, I don't blame him. But anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to comment, subscribe and like, and I will see you in part 2. You take care. Bye-bye.